Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Have you ever wondered what games you should sell or you should use? Find out here at Purge Reviews. Find out on our top 10 list what games you cannot miss. Don't forget to subscribe to Purge Reviews.
I've got a game to talk to you about today. This game, it's called the Daedalus Sentence, and there's really no way to get this box in frame because it's so big. The Daedalus Sentence. This box is big. It's not going to fit on your shelf. And that's not the only problem you're going to have with this game. This game is expensive. Now, I have to talk about this and get this out of the way. If you're a bargain shopper, this is not the game for you. If you want to splurge on a unique game and you want something fun, that's good, that's a little bit different, that's a little bit unique, then Daedalus Sentence may be that. Now, I've heard this game is going for around $150. I think it is cheaper at like Cool Stuff, online markets, and I don't normally talk about pricing of games. I don't think I've ever done this before, but with this game, you have to. It's an expensive game, and it's expensive for what you get. I'm lucky that I'm in a position where I'm okay with that. I don't need to get minis for my buck, if you will. I'm okay with a solid game that I really enjoy and it costs a little bit more. Now, I suspect that the reason why this game cost so much was the board. And I'll show that to you about how it moves and how it kind of moves around and what you do in this game. But I suspect that's where a lot of the cost went to. It does come with quite a few miniatures, not 300 like some of these games come with. And the miniatures are okay. They're not great. You're not buying this game because it has wonderful miniatures. What you're going to be buying this game for is that it tells a story. It looks so much harder than it is. You're pre-planning things out. It plays really good solo. It plays really good with friends. There are quite a few things going on in this game. I just wish they could have made it for a cheaper price, because when people talk about this game, it always comes back to price. I'm going to completely take that off the table. And if you feel like it's just too much money for any game, or you didn't get the minis per dollar you were looking for, this isn't for you. For the rest of you that are here for my thoughts or the review of this game, we're going to put that aside and say it may or may not be worth it to you based on what you're willing to pay for it. But what do you get? You get a fascinating story about these aliens who have captured these people who are running. It's almost like the movie Cube in a board game. And what you get is this very unique setup of trying to escape from this prison, but the way out keeps changing on you. And it's fantastic. Let's take a look at the board and see what it looks like, because this board is what you're buying. This board is the game. The frustration or fascination that you get will come from this board. You're going to like, love, or hate this game based on the board. So let's take a look at it. So what you get with this board is you're going to get these pieces that spin around. Now, this, what you see with like the green and yellow dots, are areas of the board that have not been explored yet. You don't know what is there. What you get on these that you see are areas that have been explored. And I think you might be able to see there's little dots down here that go away when I do that, and you can see them again. And that signifies when you're turning it. So when you have your character who starts out locked up, and you explore the tiles. Now these would all be turned over at the start of the game. You wouldn't be able to see any of these. So when he spends an action to look at one of these, it's turned over because he's been locked up. He doesn't know how this is. So this is a gate, this right here. And each of these tiles are going to do something different. And you have a pretty neat, very hard plastic cheat sheet, player aid if you will, that has the action on it. The back of it has all the possible tiles on it. There almost needs to be more. It's a little overwhelming at first, but almost needs to be more. But I wish this would have told you what each of the things did instead of just telling you what they are. Over time, you'll memorize this by using the book, but it's been really nice for an explanation of what they do. Let me get back to the point here. So what you'll do is you'll move your guy around doing actions, and I'll get to those in a moment. But after you do your actions and everybody moves, then the board and the guards will move. And what might happen, let me put this back in, is that this may move. And you may end up, let's say this wasn't turned over yet, you may end up moving and now you don't know what is there. So you had a gate that would have opened up to go to the next level, but you wouldn't have known what was there. Now, at the same time, you have this little player board that's kind of going on right here. And what's happening is you have a chit that will be moving across here. So when you're in the first level, when you're in the blue level, you're in the first area, and that's what the alert will be. And these cards will be activated. But when you make your way to the second level, which is red, when you make it here, this tracker is going to move up, and now you're going to be doing 4 cards a turn. And when you move to the yellow and the green, you'll move to level 3 and 4. And you'll be activating more of these bad cards as the turn continues. Well, what do these cards do? Okay? Because this is what's important. So, at the beginning of the game, you'll put these different cards out here. And this kind of tells you how the board is going to move and what's going to come out. There's not a whole lot of luck involved in this. Just a little bit, but not a whole lot. So this tells you that if you're in the blue area only, that you will move the board on this one, and this is how the guards will react. So if you're only in the blue, you know the green section is going to move 1, 2, 3, and any guards will move 2 this way, the way the arrow is going. If you had moved up to this point, and let's say you were already in the red zone, then you will activate this card, then this card, then this card, and then this one. Now the Minotaur cards, what you do for that is you will draw another card. In this case, I got another Minotaur, so that means 2 Minotaurs are going to come out. So I will draw another card, and this will tell me that in green section, I will add a Minotaur to this section behind the green. Like counterclockwise, so right there. And because I drew 2 of them, I will have another one. And that's how the game is going to go. So, what's going to happen at the start of the turn, you will, if you were in level 1, you eliminate the cards and you discard the ones that you played. Everything will scoot down, filling up the board. And this just, all this does is tells you what's coming down the path. So if you use these 2, they will be discarded, and everything moves down, and that's step 1. And this just lets you know where you're moving, where the dangerous spots are. Now, you're going to be moving these characters on the board. And based on how many players you have, you're going to have a number of actions. Now, your possible actions are going to be move, and you can move, or let's say you're going to discover, you just flip it over, and you discover what that section is. Another movement would be to move. You can kill adjacent bad guys, or guards, by giving up a matching card. Now a Minotaur card can kill 1. And then you also have these guys, which are basically scientists, but they're 3 of the Minotaurs put together, and they have their own card that will kill them. So depending on what is there. Each of these things might do something different. So if this has a lock on it, it tells you it has a number 2 on it, which means you will take 2 cards. And let me get different cards just for sake. So let's say you had 2 cards, And this is the code that you need to break. So this will be set on the board, and you'll know that you need to break this. Well, how do you break the code? Well, you have to give up cards that match this. So you can give up any monster card to match a monster card. If you have a card like this, you give up either, let me give you another example. So if I had, let's see here, 2 number cards, you get a red, okay? So with these cards, I could match numbers. I could give a 2 of any color and 1 of any color, or I can match colors, which would be a red of any color and a blue of any color. But when you do that, you can't do it match a number here and match a color here. It has to be all numbers or all colors that you're matching. And if you have one of these, it just has to be a monster card. But it's really, really interesting because these cards are kind of in short supply. You have to give up 2 of your actions in order to draw 1 card. Unless you're on one of the spaces, which is this one, which allows you to give you 1 action to draw 2 cards. So you'll be using all your movement to get around to this card, to this space, that you can get more. So the main point of the game is that you need to be able to get out of the prison. And by doing so, these things will be moving, and you'll be moving around the board, and you'll be trying to activate space. Like this one is one that lets you hide, so you're up in the rafters hiding. So that means when the bad guys come through, they can't catch you. But if you're not in a space and you're not hiding and they catch you, you have to go back to your cell, give up all of your cards, and kind of start over. What's interesting about that is each player has a player map, which has a unique power on it, which is nice. But when you get captured, you flip this over and something bad happens to the group. This is fascinating because with him, players can activate the research laboratory location to collect 2 cards. That place I told you was so important. If Baxter gets captured, you can't use it until somebody comes all the way back. So if you're all the way here in yellow, you have to find your way all the way back to release him, because you'll need all players to be on the final spot to win the game. If somebody gets captured twice, you lose the game. So there's this whole thing where these guys will be moving around, and if they catch you, they capture you. You can kill them, but those cards are worth so much. It's this whole push and pull about what's going on, and you really have to think about how these guys are going to be moving. So let's see, the board's going to move this way, and he's going to move 2 spots here. But I was there, and he was here. So how is this whole board going to move? And as these guys combine, and you get 3 of them, they become off the board and they become the stronger guy. There's a lot to think about here. And there's a lot of planning that goes into it. And it has a very, very frantic pace when you're playing it. And at first, it seems really easy. You're making some progress. But as the game goes on, you're not sure you're going in the right direction. Now you're going back. You're going back and forth. There's vents you can go through. There's places where you can manipulate the cards that are coming out. There's a lot to do, a lot to plan, and a lot to think about. Now, some of you are going to like this planning that's going to go into the game, and some of you aren't. Some of you are not going to like how this shifts. This is a really cool mechanism that I haven't seen in other games.
Daedalus Sentence is fun. I hope I explained it fairly good. I did so in a different manner this way. So those cards are going to come out so you can plan. And then you're going to take your actions depending on how many people you have. And usually that's moving around the board and activating locations or eliminating the bad guys. It's not much more difficult than that. Now, I wish, like I said earlier, I wish the player aid had listed what these tiles did. It'd be so much easier because there's not words on them. You have to look for like, okay, this one has a green screen. With that said, I think with the pricing of this game, they kind of did that on purpose, that this wasn't dumbed down, even though it's a very simple game to play. But I love how the board plays, and it's a puzzle, and it keeps moving on you. And what you see now, you better do it now if you want to, because it may not be there next time. That ventilation shaft you're planning on going through may not be there. And you must utilize the powers of the people to win. I don't believe you're going to win without utilizing those powers. And that's super cool to me. It's not even that they let you break the rules, because this is a cooperative game. They're crucial to winning by maximizing those actions or abilities, if you will.
And when somebody gets captured, it can cut the legs off of the whole group. You got to go back for that person. It's that whole Marine mentality that it's all for one and one for all. You are not going to win without somebody, and you can't let them keep getting captured. So you're only as strong as your weakest person. I absolutely love that about this game. I love that the board moves. Now, it's not luck. The Minotaurs coming out, where you flip the card and where they show up, there's certain spawn points. You'll figure out how that works. There's only like 4 different locations they could come out. So I guess it's a little luck of maybe where they come, but you don't want to stop your character on a spawn point, okay? That's just bad play. And I think I'm going to get better at this game. Now, a lot of cooperative games tend to be luck or a pandemic clone. This is something different. This is something we should celebrate. This is a wonderful game. It has its flaws. The box is too big. The miniatures are all right. It's not a flaw to me. It's expensive. These are things that pop up. But listen, guys, if you want to support something that's new, something that's different, something that's good, that's not just a retread of what we've seen, this is it. Daedalus Sentence brings that to the table in a cooperative manner. It also has a lot of difficulty variants that you can add to make the game harder and include more mechanics. And I think that you're going to want to do that after time. I want to beat the simple turn. I mean, I looked at the variants that make it more difficult. I haven't played with a lot of them. I can see how they come in. I fooled around with them a little bit, but I haven't played multiple games with them because I want to beat this game X amount of times and then rack it up. This is a game that's going to stay in my collection. It's going to be a keeper. I'm very happy with this game. I want to have my miniatures painted. I want this game to look great. It is going to be a centerpiece of my collection now, where it's going to be one of those unique games. I think the price is going to send a lot of people away. I think a lot of people are going to miss the boat on this one. I don't believe it'll ever be reprinted. I'd be surprised if it would be. And I could be 100% wrong. I have no inside information. I really like this game. And I'm going to recommend you to purchase this while it's on the market. And if you can't get your hands on it or can't afford it, try to play somebody else's because it's that good. The theme is nice. It's not necessarily unique, but it is something you don't see all the time. I love this board. I don't want 100 games with this board, but it's really neat that it's out here and that it exists now. It's one of those games that if you went to a prototype con, you'd be like, that's never going to be made because it's going to be too expensive. But with Kickstarter, it was able to be made. And I really want to commend the company that made this game. This is made by Eagle Griffin Games, which is one of my favorite companies. I just really like their games. They come out with some... I don't like all of their games, but sometimes they come out with really good games. The components are really good. The insert in this game is really neat. They usually do really good inserts. Guys, check this one out. You're really going to enjoy it. It gives you a lot of great decisions in a changing atmosphere and a changing board, and you have unique powers that matter, that don't just give you a bonus. Don't just tell you how to play the game. They matter. I don't believe you're going to win without them, okay? And that's interesting. We have a game like Marco Polo, The Voyage of Marco Polo, where those powers give you something different to do, and they're all kind of broken. If you took them out of the game, you still have a solid game. With this, I don't think you can play it without the special powers. I don't think you can win. I think the game would be too difficult. And in my first play, I kind of didn't use them as much. Oh, yeah, I have that special power. But on my second playthrough, I really had to know those powers, who I was playing with, and then start to strategize how I was going to use those to win. That's two completely different ways to play a game that you don't normally see. It's subtle, but you don't normally see it. I kind of wish that there would be an expansion for this. I think they can do that more easily if it sells well enough, because you don't have to reprint the board. I think the board is what's so expensive. But having different kind of these bad guys coming out, adding some different types of cards into the game. But if they never release an expansion, there's enough here to have fun. Those modules that come with it make me think that they designed this game saying, we're probably not going to make an expansion. This is one of those hidden gems, guys. Just track this down, play it, try it, love it, and come back and thank me here at the Purge Reviews. Please subscribe to the channel. It really helps out. That's the main thing we're trying to do right now. We're trying to get to 700 subscribers. When we reach 700, we're giving away a free game, Chain Reaction, the Manhattan Project game, brand new in Shrink, Deluxe Edition. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon at the game table.